everybody. We are Team 7 here for an executive briefing. My name is Rebecca, and down the road we have Aditi, Caesar, Amaya, Kale, and Rashad. In November of 2023, we were invited to do a penetration test of your environment. Today, we are honored to be back to perform a re-evaluation of your organization. With this in mind, our goals for this penetration test were to ensure the elimination of previously found vulnerabilities and to verify their remediation, and furthermore, that you are compliant with regulations.
To get started, I just want to give a quick summary of our findings and give you a little bit of a heads up of what's coming later in the presentation. So overall, there were some remediations that we saw, but we also were able to get into your systems. There were many high security flaws with critical vulnerabilities that need to urgently be fixed because they have high business impact and high risk. You are currently not TSA compliant, which we will go more into detail with later. But there are many changes that need to be made, all of which are outlined in our report with steps to remediation. On a more positive note, compared to our previous engagement, your security posture has notably increased. It is clear that engineers have followed our previous recommendations for remediation. Many of the easy vulnerabilities that we outlined earlier have been fixed. Examples such as a strict password policy requiring lockout after 3 failed login attempts, or separating networks for different parts of your system are effective security measures which show that engineers are making an active effort to promote security within the company.
So we were able to find 23 vulnerabilities within your systems. There were 2 critical vulnerabilities that will need to be fixed in a timely manner. Unfortunately, these vulnerabilities are highly likely to be exploited and will cause grave damage to the company if they are not fixed in reasonable time. Furthermore, we were also able to find 9 high-risk vulnerabilities, with the other half being moderate, low, and informational. Furthermore, our risk metric uses both likelihood and impact.
So let's discuss a bit about some of the key findings that we were able to uncover. So we were able to take full control of the trams. This includes the 3 trams that each have a different server. We were able to access them unauthenticated, and an attacker from the web would be able to do likewise. So this means starting the trams, stopping the trams at any arbitrary time. This could cause grave damage, and we will discuss that further in the presentation. Furthermore, there were exposed credentials of employees that we were able to access, and then we also were conducting employee impersonation, which essentially consists of us emulating one of your employees and trying to extract information out of other employees, and we were successful in these endeavors. Lastly, there were some pretty strong sensitive data leaks that we were able to achieve. This includes personally identifiable information such as social security numbers, flight details, when people are boarding, when they're getting off, names, addresses, things like this, which can reveal a lot of information about the people we found.
So the TSA recently issued a new cybersecurity directive in March of 2023 in order to improve security and resiliency in the import industry. Unfortunately, the company is still out of TSA compliance, so we implore that you look into becoming more TSA compliant when you are working on your remediations.
In regards to the findings, here are multiple ways that this can affect the business negatively. Due to the unauthenticated tram controls, this could lead to this can pose a serious risk to the customer's well-being, either in terms of severe injury or loss of life. Additionally, due to the rise of ransomware, having vulnerable systems can lead to either having to pay a hefty ransom or having critical systems be inoperable for an undefined set of time. Furthermore, due to the presence of these data leaks, Customers may not be willing to share the information or may not feel comfortable working with the business and may look to the competitors to get services. Lastly, due to compliance violations, it may be enforced, which can further cause which can affect business operations.
Thankfully, after the first engagement that we've had with your company, you guys were able to incorporate some of the recommendations, and we hope the same happens again. Most of the recommendations that we put for vulnerabilities are pretty quick to do, so therefore it shouldn't require a lot of effort from your engineering team to do that. One thing I would recommend and would state is that the recommendations should be followed pretty closely to what we had suggested. In the last list of recommendations that we gave in our first engagement, we noticed that some of them were either incomplete or partially done. So we would recommend that as an effort, that basically recommendations are followed and they are done to the level that we recommend. Thank you for giving us the second engagement, and we hope to see you again in order to give you guys better recommendations in the future.
Thank you very much. When you listed those issues with our current state versus the TSA regs, are they all critical? Is there a recommended order that we address those, and how do you come to that conclusion of what we should do first?
I'll pass that to Rochelle.
So when it comes to the TSA violations, these are recommendations that TSA basically gave. In the future, they will be essentially having the ability to try to enforce some of these, potentially resulting in monetary or potentially a shutdown of the airport. As far as what most of these vulnerabilities actually entailed on the system, once again, some of these they range from risk, but some of these being far more critical, some of them being trivial. So I would recommend just following the recommendations we gave, and it would all be okay. Does that answer your question? Or
Well, yeah, so what is is that in priority order, for example?
So, as far as priority order recommendations, I can hand it off to Amaya.
Yeah, so on the slide, these are not in priority order in terms of what we recommend you implement. If you take a look at the report, you'll see that we have our vulnerabilities in list of what we think poses the highest risk to your business. So essentially, what we think is most likely to be exploited, and if it's exploited, what will be most damaging. And we also have a list of which of those vulnerabilities are actual violations of this TSA compliance. And to give you an example, when you look at access control, here we talk about guest account, but another access control issue is that we were able to get access to your tram control. That's a significant issue because for someone from the outside, we should not be able to start and stop trams, things like that. So I'm not going to give you too many details here because that gets a little bit technical, but if you want a list of the order in which you need to remediate things for TSA, I recommend you look at the report. We have it outlined there.
The question, because in your report you talk about being able to stop or start things, many people on board the train from the situation. It will be good to rate your recommendation based on that. People, that's very important. People, that's right. Based on the priorities.
Yes.
And to further clarify, the way this is organized is there's 4 major requirements that the TSA has. So this is it, basically each of the 4 requirements.
Yeah, that's fine. Can we go back to the recommendations slide? I'm a little bit confused about it for implement. Oh, I see. You mean implement configurations policy package. Oh, okay, I got screwed up by the bulleting.
Yeah, we apologize for the format.
Any other questions?
Are there any other compliance regulations that our airport should be considering maintaining compliance to?
Yes, so as an airport, y'all have passengers flying all over the world. One of the things that to consider, definitely not as in front of TSA, is things like GDPR, which is the European Union's compliance for data protection. As you are processing data for customers from the European Union, this compliance does apply to your airport. Furthermore, there are other types of airport compliance, such as FFA, that are also things to keep in mind.
Thank you.